Gothic romances are my bread and butter, okay? They are the jam to my jelly. That is not a saying, Bailey. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Bailey and I like to read a little bit. Today we are going to be doing oddly specific book recs. I put a question on my story on Bookstagram, and to be fair, I waited till the last minute. The last minute being this morning to do this because I am not very time efficient. It's the ADHD. Whatever. I'm a procrastinator. So I asked the question this morning, what are some oddly specific things that you want to see in books, and I can give you a rec for it? And some people answered, okay? And it's going to be super fun. By the way, if you don't follow my Bookstagram, I'm not the greatest at remembering to post, but here's the handle. It's the same across all of my platforms. Instagram, Goodreads, TikTok, and YouTube. I thought that this would be so fun. I've seen other people do it and I wanted to take a try at it. Although, let me just tell you, the amount of times I had to swipe through my Goodreads to see, like, it had to jog my memory, because when I said oddly specific, y'all really took that and ran with it for some of these. So I have them here, and I'm also gonna put them on the screen as I tell you about them. So some of these are going to have a lot of recs, and then others are just gonna have one or two, and that's okay. That's okay, you know? Some of them, like I said, a lot came to mind, and then others I was like, huh. Did this happen in this book or did I imagine it? You know what I mean? So the first one was he goes to therapy because of her. Now, this is a little bit difficult, okay? Because there is one book and there's another book. You know what? Let me just, Bailey, quit blabbering. Magnolia Parks. In this one, specifically in Into the Dark, the third Magnolia Parks book, which is the 5th book in the series total, he and she go to therapy. So BJ goes to therapy and Magnolia ends up going to therapy too. And it is just the growth that these characters have. You are not really going to like these characters at the beginning. They are toxic, okay? I personally love them because I love toxic characters. I see the potential, you know what I mean? But the character growth from book 1 on was insane for every single one of these characters, but especially for BJ and Magnolia. And Into the Dark, their therapy journey is just, it's just beautiful, and I love them. Okay, I love them so much. So, they both go to therapy, not because of her, but because of things that they have both individually been through, and like, you get the gist. They go to therapy. And then, I read this a long time ago, and I liked it at the time for sure. Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. This one is centered around their marriage therapy. I don't know words. I guess that's marriage counseling. They're trying to get that spark back, and it's really a good story. Was it my favorite book? No, but did I appreciate it for what it was? Yes. So if that is your vibe, then absolutely do it. Tessa Bailey is popular for a reason. She's very easy to read. So there you have it for books where he goes to therapy for her. Like I said, not specifically just for her, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I love therapy, by the way. I have a therapist and she is absolutely amazing. So then we have romantasy books to get you out of a reading slump. Enemies to lovers. One of them is going to be Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This is taking the reading world by a storm, and with good reason, okay? It's absolutely wonderful. This is darker fantasy romance. There's fae and there's sprites and there's a whole nother world, and the magic was super cool in it. It's portal magic, so the FMC can like control Quicksilver, which essentially makes the portals to other worlds and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. The banter in this book, when I say they don't like each other, I mean they don't like each other. It's so good. It's so good. I love it so much. So Quicksilver is a very, very good one for me. There was a little bit there where I was in a fantasy slump. Like I was reading anything but fantasy, and this one has picked it back up for me. This one thrust me back into my love of fantasy, because I mean, it was a good like 2-3 months where I read a few fantasy, but it wasn't that many, and they just weren't hitting the same. So this one kind of brought it back for me, so I highly recommend it. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. If you haven't read it yet, you absolutely should. I love these characters. Just ignore the fact that the MMC's name is Kingfisher. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Just call him Emo Sad Boy, because that's what he is. And then we've got Zodiac Academy by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. Absolutely obsessed. If you want something that is bingeable, and I mean it is not a literary masterpiece, but it will suck you in and take you on a journey and destroy you and lift you up along the way, Zodiac Academy is where it's at for you. If the size of the Zodiac Academy series kind of is a little bit daunting for you, then I would recommend, if you still want that vibe that Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti bring to the table, any of their other books, literally any of them. The only series I have not read yet is Darkmoor Penitentiary. And I also have not read Zodiac Academy Book 9, but we're not going to talk about that. Okay, I'll talk about it a little bit. I'm just scared. I'm just scared. I don't want the series to end. I have been waiting for that book for so long, and I just, you know, I'm scared of it. Enemies to Lovers. It is a slight bully romance. Okay, no, it's not slight. It's a real bully romance at the beginning, okay? And it's very, very good. There are so many plot twists and cliffhangers and everything, and it's absolutely amazing, and it will pull you out of a slump. I guarantee it, because it's just so fun, okay? And it's funny too. And then you've got the Vincula Realm duology by Jamie Applegate Hunter. It's a dark fantasy romance, and our FMC is kind of like a vigilante killer, okay? And she's going around trying to find her sister's killer. But she is caught, and she gets sent to the prison realm, the Vincula Realm, who, it's ruled by the Umber King. Can I speak? It's ruled by the Umber King, and the Umber King is super hot, super broody, you know, all of the vibes, and they do not like each other, but they have to work together. So it is very, very good. Jamie Applegate Hunter's writing is also very, very bingeable. It's very easy to read. I really feel like in order to be pulled out of a book slump for fantasy, it needs to be more of a fun book. At least that's how it is for me. I can't have something that's like high fantasy, like heavy fantasy to pull me out of a book slump for that. I need something that's going to be bingeable, and I'm gonna have a good time. And I mean, like, yeah, I may cry a little bit, but I'm still gonna, like, it's gonna be easy. So those are 3 recs for you for, what was the title of it? Romantasy books to get you out of a slump. Enemies to Lovers. There you go. Next is Deadly Trials and Slow Burn. Okay, let me just say, Slow Burn gets me every time. I love it. I love it so much. So first, for this, I'm going to give you The Trial of the Sun Queen. This is the Artifacts of Oranos, I hope I'm saying that right, series by Nisha J. Tooley. There are 3 books currently out. I don't know how many there are going to be total, maybe 4? I'm not sure. But they are on Kindle Unlimited. By the way, the majority of the books that I read are on Kindle Unlimited if you're new here. So just go search them up. And if they're there, great. Love that, because we are readers on a budget. Thank you. Let me tell you, I will never forget this. The first sentence of chapter 1, that bitch took my soap. Because the FMC's in prison, okay? She's in a Fae prison, and she is not Fae, right? And her and her siblings are in the prison. She gets sent to solitary. There is a wild thing that happens while she's in solitary, and she gets taken. And she wakes up in the middle of like a competition, or at the beginning of a competition, for the Sun King's hand in marriage. And she is the only human out of all of these Fae. It's like a tradition that there has to be at least one human to make it fair or whatever, please. And nobody thinks she's gonna win. And the odds are stacked against her. And it's very, very good. Very, very bingeable. A lot of people say that this is, like, if they didn't like ACOTAR, they say that this is what they wanted when they read ACOTAR. I could see it. I could see it. But it's very good. There's trials. It is a slow burn, okay? It's a slow burn, and the banter's good. The banter's good. And the MMC is giving Rune Dannon. And God knows I love Rune Dannon. Crown Prince of the Valvarian Fae. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know what that was. Anyways, okay, and then we've got The Marionettes by Kate Wismer. This series is absolutely fantastic. This is vampires, okay? And in order to become a marionette, which a marionette is basically like a guard in a way. Like, they are witches, but like super powerful, and she is a blood witch, our FMC is. But in order to become a marionette, you have to undergo all of these trials, and it's more kind of like tasks than it is actual trials, if that makes sense. But it is so good. I love the vibes. It's very dark academia. It's very gothic. The queen, the vampire queen, this woman wears teeth on her head, on her crown, the teeth of people who piss her off. Are you kidding? I love it. I love it. And the love story was great. It is a very slow burn, okay? Very slow burn, but the burn is worth it. The burn is worth it. I loved the series so much. It is on Kindle Unlimited too, by the way. I need to remember to say that when something's on Kindle Unlimited. But alas, my brain, everything goes poof whenever I need to know things. And then we have The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This is a duology, but there is a little novella in the middle, like in between the two that you can get. And you don't have to read the novella, but I highly recommend it because it is one of the best novellas that I've ever read. I loved it. I can't remember the name of it right now, and it's one of the best. What the hell, Bailey? But as you can tell, I loved this book. I tabbed the crap out of it. In this one, there are vampires, right? And our FMC enters this competition in order to get, it's basically like the equivalent of a wish answered by a god. So like you get one thing, whatever you want if you win, but there's only one survivor. And the MMC is also competing in the trials. It is so good. I really enjoyed this. I liked this one better than I liked the second book, not the novella, the second book, but I still think both are great, and it is on Kindle Unlimited. And then we have Vespers by Courtney L. Wynn. This is a recent read of mine, and I am obsessed. We've seen fae, we've seen vampires, we've seen all of those things as like characters in fantasy romance books. This one has ghosts. This one has spirits, and I loved it. I love me a little ghosty, okay? Right now, this one is only on Kindle Unlimited, and I don't know for how much longer because the author is indie, and she's about to start sending it out to publishers, and she's not gonna be able to keep it on there for much longer. But that is the only place you can find it right now. I very much recommend going and reading it while you can because it is so freaking good, okay? The FMC is a princess and the MMC is the old king. Her father killed the old king, okay? He was a young king, but her father killed him and he didn't die completely, okay? He ended up basically being like a henchman for the god of death, all right? And he takes him souls. Well, this god of death wants the purest soul, the only pure soul. And that happens to be our princess. Well, our princess is about to undergo these trials in order to win something. It's very, very good. There's like magical MMA fighting, which is so cool to me. There's like daggers and stuff, but it's in a ring, and it's also kind of like it's fantasy with castles, but there's also some modern aspects. So there's like cars and there's rock music and there's electricity, but there's castles and stuff like that. I don't know. It's really, really cool. And all of the royalty and some of the guards, like there's different levels. There's 3 different levels of the magic, and they each get a ring, and it ties a spirit to you, which is really cool. So the spirit can like do magic through, like you can do magic through the spirit. I don't know why am I doing all these weird moves. I am just yapping about this book, but I really, really enjoyed this one, and it is so good. It is a slow burn, okay? And the ending had my head spinning. Slow burn, enemies to lovers and trials, so you're getting enemies to lovers for free. I almost flipped you off because I did it like this and enemies to lovers was second. I'm so sorry. Okay, next we have Lovers to Enemies to Lovers, Dimitri vibes from Vampire Academy. Here's the thing, I read Vampire Academy when I was in middle school. So I can't really remember, but I do remember that he was broody. Okay, I remember that he was broody and overprotective, yeah? So for that reason, I'm going to give you The Book of Azreal by Amber V. Nicole. Absolutely amazing, okay? Diana in this book is my girlfriend. Do I say that about every super strong, hot, badass FMC? Yes, I do. Do I care? No. No, I don't. She's just such a strong FMC, and Sam Kiel is the MMC. Sam Kiel is a god, and she is a demon, essentially, okay? She's like the devil's right-hand woman. She's an, I think it's called an Igmaruthian. I think that's how you pronounce it. She's a bad bitch. She's been doing what she's told for so long by her boss, the devil, essentially. His name is Caden, and we hate him, but he's super hot. Anyways, well, they have to team up because Caden wants her to retrieve the Book of Azreal, which essentially is going to either save the world or end the world. And so they have to team up together for reasons. I'm not going to spoil anything, but let me just tell you, feminine rage, I live for it. I live for it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I eat it up every single time. So yes. Read it. Absolutely read it. And then we've got him being deeply in love with her but not realizing it. Christian in the first Daisy Hates book vibe. This was the hardest one to choose because nothing is like Daisy Hates, okay? Nothing is like Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates. It's just so unique. so unique. But I have heard, because I read the first book in this series, I've heard that the Addicted series is very much like this. Like it's the same like angsty, you know, they're friends, they love being around each other, but like toxicity, like all of those vibes. So I fear I don't know if I'm letting you down by telling you that or not. I just couldn't think of anything. I will be reading this series later on, finishing it. Like I said, I read the first book and then I stopped because I was just not in the right headspace for that. It wasn't the book for me at the time, but because it's darker, I say darker, it's got heavier topics. Yeah, that's darker. I wanted to give a rec for this so bad, but I fear that Daisy and Christian are just, they're perfect. I don't know. They're perfect. Okay, someone said something with a similar vibe to Fairy Tale or Nocticadia or just Gothic romances. This is my favorite because Gothic romances are my bread and butter. Okay, they are the jam to my jelly. That is not a saying, Bailey. Also, if you were not aware, the last video I posted is a spooky Gothic fall book rec video. So go check that out if you're wanting more of these, because I'm just gonna mention a few. Hollow Heathens by Nicole Fiorina. Y'all really didn't think that I was gonna let a whole video go by without mentioning my girl, right? Okay, no. This is poetry. So for this one, you're getting like the way that Eamon talks in Fairy Tale, but you're also getting the spooky vibes of Nocticadia. You know what I mean? Julian, our MMC, is a part of a witch coven. Well, in this town that he lives in, there are two rival witch covens, right? And Fallon comes into town and kind of shakes things up a little bit. But plot twist, Julian is a part of a group called the Hollow Heathens. The Hollow Heathens are who each book in this series is about and their individual love interests. And the Hollow Heathens are cursed. They cannot show their faces, otherwise you will die. Like, it will give you a heart attack because you see your deepest, darkest fears. So it's very much forbidden love, curse breaking, beautifully written, okay? I feel like she is very heavily influenced by Edgar Allan Poe, and that may be why I love her so much. And I love these books so much. Bone Island is actually, the second book is actually my favorite. Read it, it's so good. And then Isle of Sin and Shadows by Carrie Lake. This one is the spooky vibes. And it's Gothic as well, the Gothic spooky vibes, but it's more of like a mystery. It's more culty. So basically our FMC, her entire family when she was younger was murdered, okay? Brutally, they were massacred. And she left town whenever she was a kid. Her father's best friend took her and left with her. Well, now she's back in town. Everybody thinks that she is dead. So like essentially she's the ghost of this town, right? Because nobody can know that she's alive because the people that murdered her family are still looking for her because they never found her body. Well, there's this super hot, sexy club owner who is also a part of the cartel. And he sees her and he's like, the math is mathin'. And he has to decide whether he wants to save her or turn her in. And it is just so, so good. The plot twists are insane. The slow burn is delicious. This takes place in Louisiana Bayou and it's spooky. It's spooky. So, so good. Okay, next we have, oh, this is the last one. Okay, because I posted this just this morning, my bad. This person said, I know I'm a guy, but I loved A Love Letter to Whiskey. Can you recommend something similar? Are you kidding? I don't care if you're a guy. You can love books too. So you like the toxicity of A Love Letter to Whiskey. Me too. Me too. So I would recommend Drive by Kate Stewart, specifically because of the wrong person, right time vibe of it, and because these two books made me feel the same way. Like I inhaled them. I could not stop reading Drive. I was hanging out with a friend, I remember, while reading this book, and I was like, would you mind if I just read? And she was like, no. And so I read the entire time we hung out. I could not put it down. It is a rock star romance. There is a love triangle, but it is done so well. Okay, it is done so well. And I love it so, so much. I don't want to tell you much more, except for that music is a very big part of this book. And there is an amazing playlist that goes with it. So definitely listen to that. There we go. There are some hyper-specific book recs. I'm sorry I don't have more for y'all, but I thought this was fun. I may do this again sometime. I don't know. Little life update while we're here. I started watching Maxton Hall this morning. I am obsessed. I get the hype. I get the hype. That show is made for the book girlies, all right? It is so good. Also, no, there's nothing else. I hope your reading months are going great. I hope your months are going great in general. Okay, I hope that good things are happening. We are manifesting good things. And I love you, and I'll see you next week.